Welcome. Patrick, back with another lesson in the Aquarian Gospel. And we've been going over the life of John the Baptist. And I think it's fascinating because we aren't really taught that much about John in any of the holy books. And so in the Aquarian, it gives us a little backstory on how he was raised and everything. And we've come to a point where he's back in living outside of Jerusalem and the hills of En-Gedi, and he's being taught by a Hebrew initiate whose name is Matheno. And so Matheno is out there being the male figure, helping to guide this young man and to teach him how to maintain his unique individuality in the world. And he's an initiate, so he has wisdom on many, many levels. And it's a blessing because John's father, Zacharias, was a priest in the temple, and he would have been a male figure that would have taught John the old law. And John was here to be part of this new awakening on the planet. So as it unfolds, so Matheno's teaching him, is working with him, and they live outside of town. And he's teaching him from holy books also, because he's been in the temples in Egypt for many, many years. And from one of the holy books, this is he starts teaching John this, and John's probably 10. The spirits of the Holy One cause everything to come and go in proper time. The sun has its own time to set, the moon to rise, to wax and wane, the stars to come and go, the rain to fall, the winds to blow. The seed times and the harvest times to come, man to be born and man to die. These mighty spirits cause the nations to be born. They rock them in their cradles, nurture them into the greatest power, and when their tasks are done, they wrap them and release them to their tombs. Events are many in a nation's life and in the life of man that are not pleasures for the time, but in the end the truth appears, whatever comes for the best. Pretty heavy teachings for a young man. John is ready. His mother has taught him. His mother was taught by initiates in Egypt when John and Jesus were babies. So she has imparted him with this wisdom, and then Matheno's coming behind, and he's teaching. And he's on a trajectory to fulfill his destiny. And this is really a neat understanding because we don't really know who he was. We just have been told he's this wild man that comes in from the woods and tells people to repent. And we just think he's crazy and doesn't know what he's doing. And this gives a little background to understand that he was very aware of law, the universal law. He was aware of Jesus the Christ. He was aware of the mission of the Christ. And he was aware of his mission as being harbinger. He's preparing the way for the Christ. John represents purity. Purity prepares the way for love. Christ is love. And so he's being, this little talk right now is really revealing that times are changing. A new time has come, a time for this rebirth in consciousness, the birth of Christ, the birth of love, and the planet as a next step for man to begin to grow and unfold. And it's really powerful if we can just understand that, because this is his foundation. And if we begin to see John in a new light, we can maybe understand that the things that guide us in our life may be in divine order, which we wouldn't understand. And it's just to begin to open up to that higher teachings. This is what Matheno carries on. The Holy One's just light this way. Man never has been left without a beacon of light to guide. He has ever been a lighted lamp in his hand, and he may see the dangerous rocks and turbid streams and treacherous pits. And so the Holy Ones have judged when men have needed added light, a master soul has come to earth to give the light. And this is making John aware that he is the harbinger for this greater light that's come into the planet to lead the men And this is a new age that's beginning. He's beginning the Piscean age and to understand this new relationship with God, a more loving relationship with God. And then Matheno gets right down to it, and this is what he says to John. And you, my pupil, you've been ordained to harbinger the coming day. He's telling this young man who understands what these words mean. You've been ordained. This isn't an accident. This is part of the divine plan that's going on. The family he was born in, the teachings he's had thus far, the relationship he has with Jesus, his second cousin. This is all a divine plan that's unfolding, and Matheno's telling him at this very young age, and he's 10 or 11. And you, my pupil, you've been ordained to harbinger the coming day. But you must keep that purity of heart you now possess. And you must light your lamp directly from the coals that burn upon the altar of the holy ones. And John, purity is such a powerful energy for him because John the Baptist represents purity. Purity prepares the way for love, prepares the way for the Christ. And they said, don't forget the purity that you own now as a child. That purity you own now. But you must keep the purity of your heart possesses, and you must light your lamp directly from the coals that burn upon the altar of the holy ones. And then your lamp will be transmuted to the boundless flame, and you'll be a living torch whose light will shine wherever man abides. To begin to understand, connect with God, that light, I am, and become that light. And wherever you go, that light's going to shine. And that's what happened when he went into town and people didn't know who he was or anything. They were drawn to the light, and they listened to the light. It's a powerful teaching for all of us because we all have that light within us. And a lot of times we want to cover it or we want to deny it. But if we surrender and begin to let go of the thoughts that separate us from God, that separate us from our own divinity, and take a chance on love, take a chance on God, we will begin to reveal not only to the world, but to ourselves who we really are. And that's why we're here on planet Earth, to begin to truly know who we are, and then to begin to manifest that. Manifest our divinity. But in the age yet to come, man will attain to greater heights, and light still more intense will come. And then at last, a mighty master soul will come to earth to light the way up to the throne of perfect man. And he's revealing how life unfolds, how at the beginning of each age, a teacher, a Christ, comes to the planet to lead man, all man, to that next higher level of consciousness. And if we begin to just listen as we sit in meditation, as we be still and ask to feel God's love, to hear God's voice in anything we're doing, in any aspect of our life, for the guidance, for the strength, for the understanding, we will receive it, and we in turn begin to walk at that higher level of consciousness. It's a beautiful path that we're all on. And it's, I think, wonderful to understand how loved and supported we are all the time by God. Whenever it gets a little dark, a light appears. We are loved. John was a beautiful soul who did a great job, who knew what was his to do. He did it with a humble heart and a loving manner. So he's a great example of who we could be in our walk. Because aren't we all in the process of purifying so that we can prepare the way for our love to reflect greater in the world? That was chapter 14. Next week, we're going to take that big step. So I hope to see you then. Thank you for sharing your love and energy today.